fire now is closing in. Nothing to bear and nothing to win. Nothing to win. Could you believe? Could you believe? Could you believe? Could you believe? Take my hand, I'll take you higher than you've ever been. You've ever been.
Thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day. We'll do the same without wasting a single second of your time. Bada bing, bada boom, we go into the charts. So on this falling wedge, descending channel, whatever you want to call it, to the downside, we got a breakout from this double bottom potential off of the daily support level of the 28,690 region. Wick came down to that without hesitation, shifted back out to the upside. We're approaching the top of this channel of this, what would you call this, the regression trend, and possibly coming up to the point of control of this range up at 30,270 without going to the levels that I was expecting down at the bottom here. Let's go ahead and take a look at what could be attracting it up above. Also got CPI data and all that news coming soon, so that could be a front-running idea as they price in what might be in the books as they squeeze the shorts. Let's go ahead and take a look at high block. Now, what is high block? Well, people lock their liquidity into the charts to get burnt to a crisp by the market maker for not using a stop loss, and we get to see where those crispy characters lie in wait. So let's go into the 1 minute time frame. So these little targets that we had out a few days back over the weekend on August 4th, these pools of 182 million and the partners in crime up over here, which are lost to Father Time at 500, were liquidated as they come up into these regions.
Fatality.
And that's what happens to the shorts that don't pay themselves or don't use a stop loss. So as we see right now, they are pinging in a large amount at the top. This is no bueno for the longs as you start to see large pools enter at the tippy top into resistance. Pools of 150 million opening up at 29. Their liquidation is at 29,517. They opened it up at 29,718. So just in this region, do they intend to take it higher? Are they lucky this time around in their breakout trading style, or are they going to come back to these 100xers and their partners in crime down at the 50x level? Generally, they like to come back to these pools, and they did with these. They took their jolly sweet time over the weekend to do so in this case. So are they going to take their jolly sweet time? Normally you wait for the power of threes for shorting, so we're going to go take a look at the higher time frames. You got 5.86 billion in long liquidity imbalance on the 1 minute time frame, losing a lot to Father Time here. Let's go and step it up and expand our vision to the higher time frame pools of the 7-day. So the 7-day is starting to get liquidated here up in the regions of the 30,100. We did talk about coming down to those regions on the 28,000, and they decided to make it their goal to come up to this 30,000 region. By the looks of it, you got 4 billion up at 30,100. It doesn't mean they can't go stop out those 100xers here first, coming back for that 29,517 for a order block, what they call bullish order block. Who would have thought that the bullish order block is off the carcasses of the 100x bulls? So they order their buys on the sells of the stops and the liquidation margins of these over leveraged characters. So they need these characters to set their orders for their bullish continuation idea. As it stands on the 12-hour time frame, you are getting vector candles in the form of two 12-hour candles. So this is not something you want to just blindly short. You want to think about your levels and think about it carefully before you enter a short, or you will be trapped in the trade. So let's go ahead and take a look at these levels. So you got the 30,100 region beckoning for these liquidity on the 7-day to continue. And if we go to the monthly time frame, we went over that insinuated pool of longs to the upside. You got $16 billion up at 30,002, 12 billion at 30,003. So they're a hop, skip, and a jump away. Doesn't mean they might go back to those 100xers for that order block idea to continue up to these regions, but they've let their hand be known that this is possibly a clue of where they might be going up to 30,200. Do they have the steam to carry it all the way to 32k? I don't know, but let's take a look at the 3-month time frame. Now the 3-month time frame has that 30,002 is 26 billion as it increases in amount. You got the 25 billion down to 28.4, 36 billion, 28.2, and 28 billion at 28 even. If you look up above even further, you got 21 billion, 16 billion, 17 billion up above there. Double digits, but nothing to write home about. Mostly up at that 30,200. So right now, 30,200 is a point of interest for potential tapering and reversal idea. Let's go to that on the 6-month. You got 40 billion at 30,003, about half that at 30,006, and 27 billion, 30,900, and got more up that 138 billion up at 32.1. So if they do have the strength to continue the bullish thing up into that region, or are they coming up to here to just stop out the shorts to continue to a lower price target? On the 6-month time frame, you do have a lot of liquidity suggesting more downside after a pullback here. Maybe they get people bullish and then head down in that region only to come back here later. Let's go to the 2-year. The imbalances to the downside on the 6-month. On the 2-year time frame, you do have these large pools awaiting us up at 33.2, 197 billion at 33.2, 181 billion 32.8, 181 32.4. Not to forget the 241 billion down at 24.4, and yeah, the 53 billion at 28 even, and 81 billion at 27.6. The majority at 27.6. Note that 27.6 idea. Let's go to the charts and see where 27.6 would leave us. 27.6 would leave us about there. So that would take you down below the golden pocket here on the Coinbase chart. Let's go to the Binance chart and see what lurks beneath the surface. So the 2 level of this bearish trend-based fib level would put you in this pocket here for that large amount down below. This would be that level here. 27.6, $81 billion down there. 46 up at 38. So if you cannot make it above these 30,002, 30,004 region after fatiguing off of some of these pools, there is a little bit of a gap, and resistance is where the gap would be to recognize whether it's going to surge up to 32K or not. Shame I didn't just long that level of the daily support level at 28,690. I had it in my charts and we already wicked off it once. Could have gone for that double bottom idea. Shout out to anyone that did take that idea. Let's go ahead and throw on our oscillators and take a look at what we can see on the momentum. Before we do that, actually, let's look at the Fibonacci levels and what to maintain. So if you're in the bearish trend, you'll get a rejection off the 30,107 level of this 236. However, if you start closing candles up above this level, the path to the bullish levels up above here could be in order as we start to make our ascent up above the 0.65 and the 706. The 706 is where you generally get permission to go higher or lower. So this 29,431 region, where we got that permission to go higher, was where that surge came into fruition. If you got that rejection, it would have just came right down. So this is where we're looking right now, what is going to happen within these upwards paths as it seems to want to go higher. So let's go ahead and throw this on now. Let's see if we can see anything, any low-hanging fruit. Link in the description for more. And you got these, you can toggle at your leisure, or you can look at each component as they come into prominence, particularly the stochastic array. Let's go ahead and see what the stochastic array was saying today on the hourly time frame. If you had that alert to your phone, last time we were seeing on the live that this 3 time frames oversold. Not really my playbook to take the 3s. Generally I want the 5s and the 6s after a decent liquidity grab. There wasn't really much being grabbed here, so not really sure. That was just stopping out a lot of the longs. We did have these pools lined up as we were talking over the weekend of a potential push up there. They did not close those trades, so that's what they came back to grab. If we look at the 15-minute, this would have had your entry after the London close. You had 4 time frames oversold at one point here. The we talked about how this 15-minute cross-up event is how you monitor the trade on the live. We were saying as long as the baselines hold and the price holds above the baselines here, you're good to see how this trade monitors. And normally what happens is you see this pierce with conviction above the cloud, and then you come back and you retest the cloud and continue. This is what is inbuilt in the schematic here. If you look at the trend cloud here, you pierce above the cloud and you kiss the cloud and continue. It's the exact same thing here, and that's what happens over and over again. So if you were without an update from anyone and you had Momentum Master, you could have just seen, if you were in this cross-up event of the baseline and you pulled the trigger, you would have seen we were holding this adaptive moving average as we entered the Asian session, and we slightly dipped below the cloud at that time, but we held the adaptive and crossed back up again for that 15-minute play to the upside. There was bullish divergence on the money flow here, which insinuated we would go higher, and you had the rising sun event telling you that the golden light could be on the horizon, and boom, it took us to the upside there. So where do we go from here? Enough about what could have been. Let's look at where we are now. We got the 5 time frames overbought. This is on your stochastic array, which would give you these alerts to your phone as you start to fatigue out, potentially speaking. So you are getting the levels up here at 29,864. We've got the high of 29,864. Let's see what we grabbed up here. Once again, you're pinging in these longs up at the top here, which could be suggesting a pullback to grab them down at 29,517. 29,517 would put you just above the 0.65 for a retest bounce, or shoulder, head, and potential right shoulder to continue lower. Let's not my cup of tea though. I need the power of 3s on my side, but if you are seeing the idea of coming back into this, you are outside the Keltner channel. The Keltner channel is generally an ATR based Bollinger Band type idea, and when you start to get above it, you come back into the known land within it, just like a Bollinger Band. So coming back above that Bollinger Band type idea of the Keltner channel means you could come back down into the Bollinger Band type thing with the Keltner channel. So let's go ahead and take a look at the daily time frame and make our descent through the time frame, sculpting a narrative. So you had the cross-up event, and we talked about how this strangely was holding as a cross-up despite this selling off to the downside, and it looks like we held that one level at 29K. We just did not want to give up that 29K region. We did wick down to it once, twice, 3, 4 times and more, but mainly these 2 times for the win at the 28,690 region, and got bought back up on the daily and held that baseline to the upside. Are we going to see some resistance here at 30,000 up in the 30,100, 236 level and the cloud on the daily? Or are we going to continue with a fury and close out a daily candle strong? Let's go ahead and look at the oscillator showing momentum to the upside here. As you see, just starting to take off on the golden light play. Starting to see this Williams continue. It's a very clean Williams, but if you just looked at the Williams alone, that could have been a nice idea forming. 22-hour time frame also starting to take off here with the RSI and money flow. Looking at the 12-hour time frame also giving you some volume here as the money flow comes back up to the RSI. When you see this disparity of the money flow beneath the RSI like this, it could be insinuating a move to the upside, and sure enough, they saw that move to the upside with the money flowing back in on the RSI level. The ambiguity and the rising sun appearing twice here, and finally getting a shoot up on the Williams. Let's go ahead to the 6 hour. 6-hour time frame getting a 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝘁𝗲𝗀 getting overbought. 6-hour also getting overbought. This is where you look to see how the 6-hour will close in 30 minutes. We were talking about that last night. How does the 6-hour close? And the 6-hour closed in that time in 30 minutes as well, and it closed with that blue vector candle and continued with that reclaiming the cloud on the 6-hour. So these reclaiming of the cloud ideas not only happen in the 15-minute time frame, but they happen on these higher time frames too. So you use these as monitors for your trade. When you can reclaim the cloud, you can move your stop loss to the cloud or just beneath it, and sure enough, we did come a little bit beneath the cloud but continued to the upside on that 6-hour time frame. We're approaching the Keltner channel on the 6-hour time frame. The last time we got there on the 6-hour time frame, we did see sharp rejection. This is the bearish trend has been shifted as of this candle up here, and we are maintaining it with this wick. We got bought back up off the super trend on the 6-hour. So are we going to see a rejection on the 200 weighted moving average and this the Keltner channel? Let's take a look at the momentum. The stochastic extremely fatigued, the RSI and the money flow coming up to overbought status. Could keep getting pinned here if we shift our attention to the 8-hour. The 8-hour also overbought. If you remember that point in time about 2 days ago, this was a possible clue, seeing this angle on the 8-hour. If we go to the 4-hour time frame, the 4-hour time frame cloud was ambiguous at best, as they played with the time frame of the 4-hour, since more traders use it now. And the 22 has stopped working since somebody broadcast that to everyone as well. So we got to find ourselves a new edge with the 22. So if we look at the 4-hour time frame, you did lock a 4 on the 4-hour time frame. This is what we talked about when you lock in these stochastic array symbols on the higher time frame candles. It shows that rebound potential is locked and loaded. This triggered a stop loss hunt idea, but we did get that conviction to the upside on the 4-hour time frame. Despite coming down to that 50 level, we held the 50 and continued higher on the stochastic RSI. The MACD has yet to come up into the domain of the stochastic, so it could still meander around here in Williams territory. Getting overbought on this time frame as well. So let's make sure that the 12-hour still has momentum or not. 12-hour time frame does suggest you could still have more momentum in the last 6 hours here to close it out. However, at that daily candle closing time, you will have most likely maxed out the 12-hour time frame as well. So if you close this 12-hour strong in a manner here with very little rejection wick and just close it out strong up into the 30K region, you could reset your stochastics and get ready for everyone to load up to potentially go higher. Wednesday is generally a complement move to Tuesday in traditional weekly things, but we do have weekly markets, but we do have some news play with the bonds and whatnot coming on Wednesday, I believe. Let's go ahead and make sure that that's accurate. Hold on one second. Where did we post that? Where was that? There we go. So we got the bond 10-year bond auction on Wednesday, and then Thursday midweek reversal we had the CPI data and the PPI on Friday. So midweek reversal, we could be trending to the upside to potentially reverse on Thursday depending on the news, or it could be bullish for crypto and the continuation continues and they're already pricing it in. So the 6 hour looking to close out on this weighted moving average by the looks of it, and then potentially getting a continuation from that point. Alright, time to build a bullish narrative trend-based fib level and see if we can build our way out of here. So if we go to the hourly time frame, one thing we can do with this is we had our impulse and the retrace here. If you were back in this moment in time, you could have taken this impulse to the upside and the retrace down to here, and this would have told you the 236 at 29,319 was your validation point, which also coincides with the 786 of the bearish one for a resist SR flip idea, and that would have been your entry model to the resistance point at the 706 and the 786, which is why we got a sell off here. And then now we went up to the 1 level at 29,804, and so the math is saying that we will go to 30,046 and possibly 30,196 if this is to hold. And back in the day when I would be in trades, I would be using these ideas for placement of take stop loss into profit as it makes its ascent, and conversely with shorts. So if you look at where this could be going, if it goes up above this 30,046 level and reclaims this, then we could start looking at some bullish narrative structures forming. So if it comes up to here and starts holding and kind of making stochastic resets, then we can come back further in this manner. Now this liquidity on the 1 minute is suggesting that we start coming back and grabbing some of these guys at 29,517. So if we come back into this idea here, so this would be your 6 hour time frame. Does it coincide with the 4 hour? It does not. So the 6 hour time frame most likely coincides with the 2 hour time frame because they're all in increments of 2. So this 2 hour wants to close with this adaptive also in mind. Last time we closed beneath, just above the adaptive, we V-shaped back down. So are we going to see a similar retrace? Maybe not a complete V-shaped, but at least coming down into some of the liquidity here at 29,517. And so repositioning into that idea, entering into some daily candle closes might be some idea to look at. As you retrace into some of the liquidity here. Let's delete these guys because they are now gone from the chopping block. And so this is how you would monitor where it wants to go mathematically speaking. We already illustrated how that works on the other side of the trade, and it played out pretty well with this impulse retrace, 236 entry, boom, down to the 1. Consolidation off of the 65706 and then back down somewhat into the 1382. So are we going to see a full stab up to the 1382? We already got part of the 1, so we can come up to this at some point perhaps. If it's confirmed, you'll see a consolidation and reset of the stochastic data off of this 6 hour, and then you can find a potential retrace into one of these clouds. Looks like the cloud on the hourly and the bullish trend-based fib level of the super trend here also coincide down in this level. So coming down into this region, starting to get more fine-tuned with it. Whoa, what was that? There we go. Hey. So if we rise up into the CPI data and then decide from here where we want to stab up or sharply reverse back down, they're gonna get some longs into the idea. Interestingly enough, they didn't really have many pools of shorts to go back into, and the longs didn't really have the interest either. The last time there was no interest like that was the Silicon Valley Bank thing. They had no interest, and then that was like, well then, and they just decided to rip it to the upside while people hesitated. So the hesitation is when they start to shift it, because they don't have to pay as many people. So there's not that many in this shift from 28.7 all the way up to basically the 29.6 region. They didn't have to pay very many people. Not many longs entered in that, so they lucked out in that regard. So coming up to the 30,000 region is not an unrealistic idea to see. Coming to eat those 100 Xers could be your repositioning tool at 29.319. Would that coincide with this guy? It would. Would it coincide? 319 would put you just around here. So would they come all the way down to this partner in crime at the 50X and then start to shift up? It's entirely possible. We missed the long opportunity ourselves, even though we watched this on the live. Shout out to everyone here. Let's see. So what are we going to see in terms of potential in total? Let's go see what the total market cap is doing. Total market cap did come back above that 706 level as well, making its way back up to the bullish 236 level. The bearish one is just above that. So we still could be in this region here as a potential resistance point. It's a previous wick that we came down out of before. We were getting a lot of oversold ideas here, five diamonds here for that to shift out. It was holding the 706 pretty strong until it broke down here the other day. Total 3 had a little bit more of a downside path as it was getting more bearish, but also seeing those locked in on the higher time frame, insinuating you go higher. You're starting to get that locked in on the 4 hour with this cloud in a bearish state. The alt's not looking as clear in conviction to the upside as total is in terms of the cloud here. We've repossessed the cloud, and you come back for that retest idea at some stage. So normally you see this shift if it's genuine, and it will thin out. The cloud will thin out at some point, and then you see that retest to the cloud, and then that continuation idea if it's genuine. So at some point you would see a pullback on the 6 hour time frame, or at least a reset of these 4 in the 6 hour. You got bearish divergence on the money flow that already played out, went beneath the RSI, and that's what shot us up here. If we look up at total, already getting that kind of curvature on the 4 hour cloud here on total market cap. This has more volume, so you'll notice that the cloud has more smoothness to it. The smoother the asset, the more volume the asset, the smoother the cloud will be, and you'll be able to read things more accurately. All right, so looking at the dollar, let's try to preempt what news may be inbound here. They started to rise it up, stop loss hunt rise before they continue it down further. Is this an M pattern to the downside? you have this bullish fib level that we honored with the 1. We came back to the 0.65, got permission off the 706 to bounce, and we bounced up. Interesting that the dollar rose as Bitcoin rose. One of those few times where they both rose together. We saw NASDAQ sharply decline. I've been noticing there's an inverse relationship a lot of times where when NASDAQ drops, the Bitcoin price rises. So are people trimming their profits and inserting them into Bitcoin? NASDAQ is known as the Bitcoin of the stock market. So back to BTC. So we're seeing this stalling at the 1 level of this math to the upside, this impulse retrace idea. The cloud was very thin and starting to shift here and took you to the upside. You got your super trend. There's a lot of people trailing this with their stops beneath the super trend here. They're going to come back to try to stop out as many people. If they're going to continue, they'll find some order block off of some of that. You can find a retracement tool from here. That'll put you at the 706 exactly. And this is how you start to chart a path, a narrative. You sculpt, it's a cartographer trying to find an entry, because you definitely don't want to be these characters that are longing up into resistance like that. No way, Jose, not my cup of tea, ever, 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 ever. So they'll probably most likely come back into that 29.517 and take out the 100x, if not come down to the 29.2 region and take out the 50x partner in crime as of this moment in time. You do have the 182 lone wolf here at 29.958, that 25x guy, but the 100x most likely takes precedence at this time as you close out the 6-hour candle in a nice inducement manner. They want to create that nice algorithmic price. Ooh, we're getting a nuke here. You want to get that nuke to lock in on the higher time frames. We're not going to be able to stay with you until the 6-hour candle close, but if you have Momentum Master, you can check this out and see if this locks in. But you'd basically want to be seeing what this, not really seeing 3 hits. You're already breaking structure, making a higher high here locally on the 6-hour time frame. If this closes out here, this is bullish market structure, so you'd be waiting for a pullback for a potential reposition. This means that you're getting this exhaustion on daily time frames as well. Where's the daily at that would cause that to happen? Hold on. Maybe it's the weekly. It's probably the weekly. Yeah, the weekly's above 50 here, so this is probably it. And this Williams. So the Williams is overbought with this cross down event, so we could be seeing this just as a stop loss hunt for stop hunt rise before they go lower, if it does close this nuke on the higher time frames. We can go show you a previous nuke that was locked in on a higher time frame anyway. Ideally, you want to see it on the hourly and above that locks in with this stochastic locked in that candle close. So if this surges up beyond what it can muster, then it's most likely going to come back on that nuke. But this is why we put on our higher high and lower low look back on A. I don't need to do this, but if you do have Momentum Master and you're new, putting this on will tell you when you're breaking higher highs or not at lower lows or not. So when you're not making a lower low and you're resetting some stochastic data, you can take it for what it's worth. So if we're not making a higher high and you lock in these things, it could be coming lower. This is the higher high and lower low look back. Alright, ladies and gents, these are the levels for what I have come up with for a reposition. If you are trying to take it to the upside, at least into these regions, that would give you some sort of percentile play. and at least into Wednesday. If they decide to continue it, there's been times where Wednesday did not complement last week, so please beware of that. In general, in the cycles of Bitcoin, if you're not just range trading this consolidation range, then you'd be seeing a repricing structure to go a little bit higher. So coming back into these regions, we'll be monitoring it closely and post to the group. So let's take it level by level. The cloud is still holding strong here on the hourly as this comes up to this level. The 236.29319 is your level off the golden pocket. If you take this further to the traditional style would be to look at this down here, but if it's bullish, you could just see a bounce on equilibrium, which would also coincide with the 236 zone. So it depends on what type of impulse you're looking at. Are you looking at the deep impulse of the entire thing, or are you looking at the pocket of this local impulse out, the second wave impulse? And there could be a deep retrace on that too. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. As of this moment, you would be looking for a play to the upside. Let's see what they retrace back into. I'm expecting at least a pullback into these 100xers at 29.517, and if they come back into this partner in crime down at 29.2, I wouldn't be surprised. And if we look at the monthly time frame now, they might have tipped their hand to that 30,200 region. If they pull back into those 100xers, you could reposition to that level to take out that $16 billion, which would be a small little play up into, a 2% move. So let's try to see how Wednesday plays out. We got the levels and the ideas for where that would occur. We'd see the cloud and the super trend hold or not, and yeah, we'll play it by ear as the levels present themselves. Did you guys have anything you wanted me to look at while you have me? Well then, let's see. Nope. All right, well then. Thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day, and we'll do the same, bringing the fire, the accuracy, the precision, all that fun stuff